Let's meet the imposters that have hijacked your life. The imposters could be a metaphor for the mask you've been wearing or wear when confronted with something that you fear. Many of you have already been to my website and discovered which imposter has taken away your life by using the imposter quiz. If you haven't done so, please do it after listening to this CD. Just go to www.lisahaisha.com, click on Soul Blazing, and you'll see it. There are 8 imposters that live inside you. These pesky devils try to prevent you from arriving at your authentic soul. They're the voices in your head telling you that you're not good enough, or reiterating conversations from your past and won't let you move forward in your life. You know who I'm talking about. So let's meet them and see who's been tagging along on the ride of your life. For now, as I go through these imposters, place a star next to the ones in your journal who really sound familiar or touch a chord inside you. If you're driving in your car or listening to this on your iPod while you're working out, make a mental note of the imposter or imposters that sound like you. So here's the first imposter, the wounded inner child. The wounded inner child is dealing with some sort of abandonment issue from childhood. This could be actual physical abandonment or simply an emotional detachment from loved ones. As adults, these people are always seeking to get love and approval and may feel slighted over the smallest act. They typically appear clingy and they have a desire to always be rescued. The wounded inner child craves stability and is likely to throw a tantrum or pout when things don't go their way. Next is the overthinker. The overthinker is someone who is very scared of the future and who doesn't believe in themselves. As a child, they were often told that they weren't good enough or smart enough. As a result, they believe that they are only worth what they contribute, meaning they won't speak up unless they believe they can show others that they are smart or interesting. They often overthink things and don't know how to make a decision. Their default action is to not make decisions, so their life is usually stalled. The third one is the therapist counselor. The therapist counselor results from an emotional pain that someone has been masking for a long time. They pretend the hurt doesn't exist in their own life, and instead they study it and want to help others deal with it. As a result, they often approach love and life as a clinical experience and not as a real and emotionally driven journey. They tend to be emotionally distant and view matters of love and life as puzzles to be solved rather than as experiences of the heart. The next imposter is the sex god or goddess. The sex god or goddess never learn to value themselves for what they have to offer. Many have been sexually abused as children. As a result, they think sex is the only way to get that deep love and attention that they crave. They often jump from relationship to relationship and don't have the strength or self-confidence to build long-lasting ties with others. While they act in ways that they think will bring them love, attention, and approval, in reality, others usually mock them behind their back. The sex god or goddess may seem charming on the outside, but on the inside, he or she typically suffers from low self-esteem. The fifth imposter is the narcissist. And the narcissist occurs when someone grew up in a household where other siblings received more attention, perhaps because the sibling was often sick or in trouble. Narcissists feel that the focus was always on someone else. So now it's their turn to have the spotlight. They often disassociate from their own flaws and are intense people. Their singular goal is for perfection. They are often hypercritical of others and believe that other people are beneath them in both ability and talent. People typically view narcissists as strong, unique, willful, and in charge. The next imposter is the philosopher. The philosopher usually grew up in a creative environment. They were exposed to art and culture. Now, as adults, they're arrogant and they think it's acceptable to treat others rudely. They immerse themselves in such topics as the arts, politics, literature, and religion. They enjoy staying on top of current events and are opinionated to the point of being intellectually arrogant. They enjoy spending long periods of time alone so they can work on their art or intellectual property, and then they come back out into the world to share their creation, expecting praise and adoration. The seventh imposter is the clown. The clown stems from someone who didn't feel seen or heard as a child. As a result, they try to make light of things to get attention. They're often scared of disappointment, avoid deep intimacy, and crave approval. Because of their lighthearted approach to life, they usually don't give proper maturity to discussions that demand maturity, which usually works against them. Their focus is on being liked rather than being real. The last imposter is the fixer. The fixer is the cousin of the inner counselor. The counselor often goes the professional, academic route, whereas the fixer is more like a gossipy interloper. They like to surround themselves with people who need a lot of help, and they feel wounded or slighted when those in their life don't seek them out for advice. Their sense of self-worth and identity both stem from their desire to help others. However, when they do help, they usually brag about it, leaving the person they helped feeling exposed. Everyone has a king or queen imposter that rules them. Some people even have all 8 imposters to some degree, but there's always one that's heightened and dominant. So how can people minimize the imposter? Well, that's where soul blazing comes in. Blazing your imposters helps you release your feelings of self-hatred and fear and replace them with self-love, gratitude, inspiration, and intention. It helps you become aware of the imposter that's driving you, so you can recognize the ways in which the imposter manifests in you. By recognizing your imposter and taking steps to control it, you can start living your life from your authentic self. When issues come up, you can handle them from a rational perspective rather than being reactionary. So now, I'm going to discuss your authentic soul. Our goal is to allow our authentic soul to guide us on our earthly journey. Your authentic soul provides you with the capacity to offer emotional nourishment to those you come in contact with. Your authentic soul is a peacemaker and therefore is not good at handling conflict. The authentic soul seeks nirvana, lives in the moment, and lives and believes that something far bigger than them exists. I have discovered that these 8 potential imposters have been on your journey all along. Knowing your truth and meeting your imposters isn't easy. But once you take this first essential step of removing that imposter mask, you're on your way toward making massive strides and finding your true, authentic soul. The process can certainly be humbling, but being humbled isn't always a bad thing. It's so inspiring once you find out who your king and queen imposters are. This sets you on a path of freedom and self-actualization, which makes you powerful. So if you haven't already taken my imposter quiz to find out who your king or queen imposter is, again, go to www.thesoulblazing.com. Click on the Soul Blazing tab at the top, then scroll down under the imposter mountain and click on the link that says, "Which imposter is impersonating your soul?" Start to notice how mundane and boring and gossipy the imposters are. Now, what would attract you to them? All they do is yak, yak, yak. Notice how there's always room available when they want to visit? It's time to put up the booked sign. I was reading Carrie Fisher's autobiography, Wishful Drinking. She says, "I name my 2 moods Roy and Pam. Roy is rollicking Roy, the wild ride of a mood, and Pam is sediment Pam, who stands on the shore and sobs. Pam stands for piss and moan. One mood is the meal, and the next mood is the check. I thought that was hysterical. She got it. She clearly named her two imposters. Ms. Fisher found a way to understand the different aspects of herself, and once she understood and could put a box around them, it gave her the power to deal with them. She could understand why she was acting a certain way or why she made certain choices.